All right, well, welcome everybody. This is Dr. Harvey, and I'm going to go over your coalition papers with you. Excuse me, I'm battling a cold this week, so I apologize for all of the coughing and hacking. We'll try to make this as pleasant as possible. Excuse me. Okay, so to go ahead and get started, I have put on your respective class pages, it depends on which class you are. I have 4 classes this semester. But there is a discussion board that says final coalitions finalized this week. And let me go ahead and show you where you can find that list, because they're in the same place no matter which class you're in, and also where you can find the coalition paper template that I'm going to use today. So let me go to Blackboard. You can find the final coalition paper template right down here, because I put them in order of when things are due. The last thing that is due in each class is your extra credit. So it will be right above the last thing, extra credit. Now up here at the top, because it's the most important thing, is your coalitions list finalized this week. It doesn't matter which class you're in. It will still be here. And let me just use this class as an example. As you can see, in this class, some classes are different. Some classes only need 4 to make a coalition. The coalitions close at 7. The bigger classes, this is the super class. So this is my federal super class, which is actually 2 classes squished together. That, they need at least 7, and it caps off at 10. So as you can see, pro-death penalty is now closed because I had 10 people sign up for that one. So that one's closed. You cannot get in that one. But there are 4 slots still open for Pro-Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, 1 slot open for pro-vaccinations, 5 slots open for pro-ag. Down here, these 2 are the closest to making. They need 3 more people each. Now, there are over 60 people in this class. And if you look, 10, 16, 25, we do not have everybody here. We need to get everybody here, do this as soon as possible. Here's the reason why we're doing this in a group. What I could have done, and it would have been a lot better for transaction costs for you guys, what I could have done was just give you 1 more of the papers, the individual policy reports, and you would do the same thing individually on whatever you would like to do. The thing is, this is a survey class, y'all. Survey class is a class that everybody has to take because it's state law. It serves virtually no one's major, even if you're a poli-sci major. It's an elective, but not an elective. Actually, that's the wrong word. It's something everybody has to have, and it doesn't really count toward any sort of specialty or major. And for that reason, I don't want you to focus more on this class than you have to. I want you to learn what you need to learn and then get out of here and move on to your life, because life is short. So that's why I did this in groups. In groups, you can farm out sections. And because I have this checklist that I'll go over with you, I'm not going to do it in this video. I'll do it in the video next week so you can see. Because I have a checklist that you go over where you evaluate your group members, you get to tell me which section you did. So you still get full credit for what you did. And if someone else didn't pull their weight, then someone else does not get credit. And I get everybody's opinions on what everyone contributed. So there are no freeloaders. They get credit for your work, and you don't feel like you have to carry the coalition. The idea on this is that many hands make light work for you guys. That's the idea. It's not to make your life harder. It's so you can say, okay, there are 7 sections in this paper, and there are 10 of us. So how about everyone take a section, and then those people that don't have sections, one of them can work on just citations. One of them work on just proofreading and editing. One of them can just make sure that the paper is coherent and everything matches and it makes a nice package. However you want to divide it up, it's up to you, because you're going to tell me at the end so you get credit for what you did. So now that we understand that, final coalition paper template's here, but I have an example for you already pulled up. And so there is no confusion. Last Monday, I went ahead and uploaded all the due dates on the course calendar. The due dates for your final paper was always on your syllabus. That has not changed. But I wanted you to have on your course calendar this due date. Now, in Blackboard, where your template is, based on which class you're in, it will tell you in bold what that date is. So Texas government's due on May 6th. I'm pretty sure it'll tell you. I don't have that syllabus in front of me. And I believe federal superclass is due on the 7th. So it depends on which class you're in. But let me tell you how exactly you're going to do this paper. Your introduction. What is your introduction? You summarize the topic. You're pro-death penalty. So what is the death penalty? Death penalty is when someone is executed for being found guilty of a list of capital crimes. A capital crime is not always murder. A capital crime has to be capital murder. To be capital murder depends on what state you're in. In some states, it's murder of a child under 10. It's murder of a police officer. It depends on what state you're in. I want, since this class is in Texas and you are all Texans, I want Texas law. I want you to focus on Texas in these papers. This is a federal government class. Still want Texas. If it's a Texas government class, obviously I want Texas. So summarize the topic. Vaccinations. Some of you are looking at vaccinations. Summarize the topic. What is a vaccination? What is an inoculation? What's the purpose of it? What does it do? So what is a general topic or issue? Why is it significant? Well, death penalty is significant because it's literally vital. It's life or death. Vaccination is significant because it saves people and eradicates diseases. Depends on, I'm trying to think of other examples of anti-standardized testing. What is standardized testing? What does standardized testing really mean in Texas? So I want to know, summarize your topic for me, lay it out there. What is the general topic or issue? Why is it significant? Now here's the big part. I need you to define key terms. That means do not give me a term that you do not define later. So don't talk about, use the phrase, if you were talking about vaccinations, that use the phrase MMR for measles, mumps, rubella later, unless you have said measles, mumps, rubella. You always spell out your acronyms before you use them. I need all the key terms. You are telling me what you assume I don't know. Never assume any knowledge on behalf of the reader. They're reading your paper because they want to learn something. I'm reading your paper because I want to learn something. So I need you to define key terms for whatever your coalition is. Some of you are looking at euthanasia. Well, there's different kinds of euthanasia, guys. There's involuntary euthanasia, which is mercy killing without someone's consent. There's voluntary euthanasia, that's mercy killing at someone's consent. There's passive euthanasia, which is doing it by just denying them what they need to live, like food and water. There's active euthanasia, like smothering them with a pillow or giving them a lethal injection. There's assisted suicide, which is where they commit euthanasia themselves with the aid of a physician. Define your key terms. That's very important here. Also, state your position. Our position is that vaccinations save lives. Why should things change? You guys want to opt out of people being able to say no to opting out. That's the pro-vaccination coalition, if I understand it correctly. Why should things change? Because people opting out of vaccinations lead to the resurgence of major epidemics, and also immunocompromised people, define immunocompromised people, cannot get vaccinations and are there put at a disadvantage. Then there's something called herd immunity, define that. So it depends on what your topic is here, but I need your position, whether you're pro or anti, why things should change, why things should go in the direction you want them to go, why there should be more death penalty, why there should be less standardized testing, why there should be more vaccinations, why marijuana should be legalized. All of these are coalitions you guys have chosen. Why the Affordable Care Act should not be repealed. Define the Affordable Care Act. What is it? What are its major provisions? Then summarize your policy solution on what you would do to change things and how things should change in one sentence. So here I want you to say, this is why parents opting out of mandatory vaccinations should be discontinued. This is why the death penalty should be upheld and strengthened. This is why the Affordable Care Act should not be reversed. This is why Trump's travel ban should be permanently enjoined where the courts do not let it become a law, turn into, the executive order does not let it go into effect. So let me talk about that word should. There's two things that you guys need to know. There's something called positive and there's something called normative. Positive statement is a statement of fact. 1 + 1 = 2. 1 + 1 does not equal 7 or 32 or orange or unicorn. 1 + 1 = 2. A positive statement is a statement of fact. It's a statement that you can prove to be true or not true. A normative statement is a statement of how you think should be. It's a value statement. It's an opinion. Coke is better than Pepsi. Well, how do I prove Coke is better than Pepsi? If you want to say Coke comes in a red can and Pepsi comes in a blue one, that's a statement of fact. That is positive. Should is a word you use for normative statements. You are making a normative statement, but you are supplying positive statements, which is research, to back that up, okay? You need to state your opinions, your normative statements, as opinions, not as facts. If you state something as a fact, it has to be with a citation behind it, okay? So now, moving on. Status quo in Texas regarding this issue. Summarize current Texas law on the topic. Once again, you have to use proper citations in APA style. By the time that we're at the end of this class, there's no excuse for this. You will have each had 5 papers that you had to write already, where I let you know what is and is not proper APA style. And also, guys, it's accessible on the internet for you. There is no doubt whatsoever what's right or wrong. Just don't be lazy. Go and look up how to do it right. You need to know how to do it right. So, what is the current Texas law on this topic? Those of you who are vaccinations can talk about how people of conscience, like Jehovah's Witnesses, Christian Scientists, and things like that, can currently opt out and why. You need to provide that, the citation to the law and what the law actually says, how you can opt out and for what reasons you can opt out. Same thing with the pro-death penalty. What is current Texas law on the death penalty? What are capital crimes? Same thing with the Affordable Care Act. What is current Texas law on this topic? Well, the Affordable Care Act is actually a federal law. It applies to Texas. Any federal law applies to Texas. So you're good on that one if you're studying federal laws. If you're looking at things that are at the state level, you need to look at Texas specifically. But the Affordable Care Act, it did the following things. I know it's really big. You can summarize it. This section is not your opinion, but what the policy actually states. So I don't want to hear the ability to opt out of vaccinations is a health threat to our society. That is an opinion. What is the policy? The policy is you can opt out of vaccinations in these circumstances. I need to know the facts. This is a positive statement, not a normative one. Now, for some of you, the law can be silent on your issue, okay? When it comes to euthanasia law, oh, there's plenty of euthanasia laws, guys. So if you're pro-euthanasia, you need to look at, that law is handled at the state level. So you need to look at Texas and see what Texas says about euthanasia. So what is the policy or the lack of policy? What is the history of policy on this topic? Just because we do not have a law in Texas does not mean that we didn't once have one that's been redacted, and it doesn't mean that we haven't had people try to change it before. If you're looking at pro-marijuana legalization, marijuana has never been legal in Texas. However, there have been many attempts to legalize marijuana. So I need policy history on this topic. Tell me what has been done thus far, even if it wasn't successful. How's it changed over time? Same thing. Remember, and I'm not kidding, guys, there's no opinions in this section. This is not your opinion, but what the policy actually states. Here's where your opinions come in. This is a normative section. What are the problems with Texas policy or lack of policy on this issue? If it's a federal policy that applies to Texas, what's the problem with this federal policy or lack of policy on this issue? So for those of you guys that are supporting the status quo, that are saying the death penalty is a good thing, we should make it stronger, here, tell me the problems with having it not as strong as it could be. If you're talking about how great the Affordable Care Act is, tell me what the problems were before the Affordable Care Act that made us get an Affordable Care Act. Tell me what the problems would be if it were repealed. This is your thesis statement about why you think the law should change, meaning you are in favor of the law and are just saying it should be made stronger, or you're against the law and you want it to be repealed. So you are proposing something in here, something to change, or something to strengthen what exists and not repeal it. So this has to be something you can examine with research. There's no need for facts here, guys. This is because this is an opinion section. This is a normative, not a positive section. There need not be any citations unless you're defining something. But the truth is, guys, any definitions should have already gone up here, right? Remember, define key terms right there. So here, you don't need any citations for this. You're telling me what you think. You're telling me what your coalition thinks here. Now, consequences of the status quo. Here is where you make your case. So you say the problem with letting people opt out of vaccinations is because it leads to epidemics. Okay, give me some proof that that actually happened. The problem with repealing the death penalty with not strengthening the death penalty, or states without the death penalty have more violent crimes. Okay, is that true? Everything that you say here should back up here. There's no citations here, but you are supporting your thesis statement, your opinion here, okay? You will have learned how to do this because you will have done this by the time this paper is due in your independent policy reports. You should really know how to do this. I expect that you should know how to do this by then. So all of your independent policy reports are supposed to build up to where you know how to do this bigger paper. And keep in mind, this bigger paper is bigger, but it's spread among your coalition members. So it's not harder. Texas compared to other states. You guys know how to do this. What states have similar laws to Texas? If you're looking at marijuana legalization, basically every state that's not Colorado, California, I'm trying to think of all the states that have legalized recently, are similar to Texas. So you basically go down and you say all the states that have marijuana legalized, and Texas does not, and the states that are like Texas. You're looking at vaccinations. You're going to look at how states have similar laws to Texas allowing people to opt out. You're going to see if any other states have removed that, and if there's any differences in their epidemiology rates than Texas has. When it comes to things like the Affordable Care Act, states can opt in and opt out. You might want to look at how Texas has sued the federal government and what other states have sued the federal government. If you get into a sticky situation because you're looking at a federal law, let me know and I'm happy to help you guys. Then now, using the evidence you cited above, this is section 4. Wait, no, section 6, my bad. You offer an evidence-based reform. The easiest way to do this is if you could find a state that has done something like what you want to do, find a state that has totally pulled away from standardized testing. That will be hard to find because states want federal money and you have to have, under No Child Left Behind, federal, you have to have standardized testing in order to get it. So if you're saying, okay, standardized testing is bad according to our research, our evidence-based reform is that we totally repeal it, and instead you have to give something that serves the purpose of standardized testing. Maybe college readiness, maybe SATs, and look at SAT scores of states that have no standardized testing, which is what you're suggesting, versus other states. So suggested policy reform based on research. A lot of people that look at marijuana laws will say, well, let's do what Colorado did. Trying to think of other, like death penalty stuff. There's lots of other states that have completely repealed their death penalty laws or amended them. You have lots of options here, but you have to use the evidence you cited above to offer evidence-based reform. So you're going to give me a policy solution, but you have to give me enough evidence based on what you have written that I believe that that reform will do what you say it will do. Then the conclusion. Basically, you summarize your topic once again. The death penalty is literally vital. Standardized testing is detrimental, according to teachers. Vaccination is required to prevent disease and eradicate disease. Your findings, we have found that this problem exists with the status quo, your policy solution, whatever it is, and what you would do to change Texas. So you're looking at this, even if it's a federal law, you're looking at Texas. So basically that's how you do it. Then on the date that it's due, which will be at the top here, you're going to email jharvey@tarleton.edu, and you're going to carbon copy all of your coalition members. So you need email addresses. If you do a group me or a Facebook chat or whatever, that's cool. You can figure this out however you want, but you are going to need, the coalition leader is going to need to get those email addresses. Because what's going to happen is he or she's going to email me, and I am going to click reply all, and I'm going to let you know instantly that I got that paper, so no one has to worry. If we submitted it on Blackboard, the problem would be you didn't know if I got it. This way you know I got it. I can email you all back with the paper and how I've graded it and marked it up with little balloons in Microsoft Word. It needs to be attached in the email. Do not give me anything where I have to log in and sign in and grab it. I don't do that. There's too many different ways of sending me papers. Just attach the file to an email. It's the easiest way. I will CC you guys. You will know I have it. And you will get the preliminary, the final coalition assessment, where you assess the members of your coalition. And I'll do an email with that earlier, just to make sure that we have all those addresses. I'm going to do that right after spring break. So if you have any questions, please put it on the question board so I can answer everyone's questions. But this is supposed to be very similar to what you already know. And it's supposed to be easier than if you had to write another paper completely on your own. That's the goal. So, alrighty, if you have any questions, put them on the question board. Otherwise, I hope you have a good week. Make sure that you get in a coalition by the end of this week, so you have the maximum amount of time to get things done. I want to get that finalized as soon as possible. Alrighty, guys, have a great week.